There is a passenger on almost every long flight who boards looking perfectly fine and steps off, looking utterly wrecked. Dry mouth, heavy eyes, a stiff back, swollen feet, that glazed expression at the immigration desk. And they always say the same thing. They simply cannot sleep on planes. After more than 30 years working at the front of the airplane, watching the cabin behave on hundreds of overnight crossings, I can tell you something most people never realize. They are not bad at sleeping. They are bad at preparing their body to sleep in a place that is quietly working against it. In 2026, the long flight is brighter, busier, and more distracting than ever. Phones glow all night. Seatback screens flicker 3 rows ahead. Devices buzz and reconnect in the dark. And the moment the wheels touch down, you still have to find your passport, read unfamiliar signs, stand in a queue, collect your bag, and somehow appear like a functioning human being. The travelers who sleep well do not just sleep more. They take control of the cabin before the cabin takes control of them. And the 10th and final trick is the one most people get completely backwards, because sleeping right up until landing can actually make your arrival harder. Stay with me to the end for that one. I am Percy, and I have spent my whole working life crossing time zones in the dark. I am going to walk you through 10 things the experienced crew understand about sleep that most passengers never learn. None of this requires an expensive gadget. Most of it costs nothing at all. Let me begin with the decision that comes before the pillow, before the blanket, before you even fasten your seatbelt. Trick number 1 is the destination clock. The first sleep mistake is not the seat or the neck pillow. It is the clock you are obeying. Most travelers follow the mood of the aircraft. The lights dim, the trays are cleared, the shades come down, and everyone assumes the plane is telling them to sleep. But that schedule is built around the meal service, not around your first morning at the other end. This is why experienced crew think in destination time. Health authorities describe jet lag as what happens when your internal body clock falls out of step with the time zone you are entering. So, the smarter question is never whether the cabin has gone quiet. It is, what time is it where I am landing? If it is night at your destination, sleep is your friend, and you should chase it. If it is the middle of the day where you are heading, a long, deep sleep at the wrong moment can leave your first day feeling like wading through treacle. This matters even more as we get older, because sleep naturally becomes lighter, past 50 or 60, and jet lag can hit harder and linger longer. One badly chosen sleep window can leave you wide awake at 2 in the morning in a strange hotel, or fighting to stay upright at noon the next day. The smart move is to set your watch or your phone to your destination time the moment you board, and then make your sleep decisions by that clock, not by what the cabin is doing around you. Do not let the airplane choose your bedtime. That single shift in thinking sets up everything else, but the next mistake quietly undoes the plan before your eyes are even closed. Trick number 2 is starting your darkness early. The cabin does not need to be brightly lit to keep your brain awake. A phone screen during boarding does it. A seatback screen a few rows ahead does it. A tablet glowing on the tray table beside you does it. In 2026, even the quiet hours of a flight are full of light. Apps, messages, earbuds reconnecting, notifications, and a dozen bored passengers scrolling in the dark. Here is where most people go wrong. They keep feeding their brain light right up until the exact moment they want to sleep, then snap down an eye mask and expect the body to obey instantly. It will not. The health guidance is quite specific on this. Bright light, and the blue light from screens in particular, is the single strongest signal your body clock reads, and the advice is to avoid backlit screens in the period before you want to sleep. Experienced crew do not wait until they feel destroyed to prepare for rest. They lower the brightness on their devices early, they keep the eye mask within reach, and they stop letting the cabin feed their brain those little wake-up signals. The eye mask is not just about comfort. It is a message to your body clock that night has arrived. For older travelers, this is powerful, because a single flash of light may not fully wake you, but it can keep your sleep shallow. And shallow sleep is exactly the kind that leaves you landing as though you never slept at all. The smart move is to begin your darkness before you want to sleep, not after an hour of frustration. Trick number 3 is supporting your lower back first. A neck pillow cannot rescue a collapsing posture, and that is the part almost everyone misses. They tuck the pillow behind the neck, recline a little, and believe the problem is solved. But slowly the hips slide forward, the lower back rounds, the shoulders creep up, and the head starts to droop anyway. So They wake blaming the neck pillow when the real trouble began much lower down. Experienced travelers support the lower back first. A folded jacket, a scarf, a small pillow, or a rolled-up hoodie tucked behind the lower back stops the body from sliding into that miserable folded shape an economy seat forces on you. Once the base is supported, the shoulders settle more naturally, and only then does the neck pillow have something to work with. Most passengers try to save the neck first. The people who actually arrive feeling human save the lower back first. For anyone with a stiff back, tight hips, or sore knees, this one trick can decide how your entire first day feels. Because a back that has been fighting the seat for 8 hours does not forgive you quickly. The goal here is not to turn an economy seat into a bed, which is impossible. The goal is simply to stop your body slowly fighting itself for hour after hour. A good sleep setup starts at the base, not the neck. And once the body is properly supported, the next trap is not about posture at all. Trick number 4 is avoiding the false sleep start. Let me be clear and fair about this one. The problem is not the glass itself. The problem is using it as your sleep button. A little wine or a small whiskey can make a long flight feel softer. It calms the nerves, takes the edge off a cramped cabin, and helps you drift off faster. That is exactly why so many people trust it. But here is what the health guidance actually says, and it is worth hearing precisely. Alcohol tends to help you fall asleep faster, but it makes the sleep that follows more broken and fragmented. And on top of that, alcohol dehydrates you, which only makes jet lag worse. So the drink that started your sleep is often the very thing that wakes you 2 or 3 hours later, dry, warm, restless, and strangely groggy. I have watched this pattern play out on overnight routes more times than I can count. A passenger relaxes early, sleeps hard for a short while, then spends the middle of the flight uncomfortable and thirsty, exactly when the body should be deep in rest. And as we get older, that rough, broken wake-up makes the arrival even harder. You do not want to reach the descent feeling unsteady while everyone is standing, bags are shifting, and your connection time is shrinking. If sleep is genuinely the goal, let the timing, the darkness, the posture, and your routine do the real work. By all means, enjoy a drink if you wish, but do not ask it to do a job it cannot do. The drink may start the sleep, but it will not protect it. The next secret is where the experienced flyers stop waiting for the airplane to behave and quietly build their own little cabin inside the cabin. Trick number 5 is building your 5-minute sleep bubble. Do not wait for the cabin to become peaceful, because it never quite will. Someone opens a shade, a baby cries, a screen glows, a lavatory door bangs, the trolley rolls through, a phone clatters to the floor, the seatbelt sign chimes. The galley clinks softly as the crew prepare. This is why experienced crew never leave their rest tools buried in the overhead bin. They build the bubble before they need it. Think of it as covering 4 things. Your eyes, with an eye mask for the light. Your ears, with earplugs or headphones for the noise. Your warmth, with a hoodie or scarf. And your support, with a jacket or pillow at the lower back. Then the seatbelt fastened visibly over the top of the blanket, so the crew can see it during checks and never need to wake you. The real system is not one expensive miracle pillow. It is a handful of simple things assembled into place before the cabin starts interrupting you. For older travelers especially, every interruption makes sleep harder to restart. And once the mind begins checking the cabin again, rest turns shallow. So, the trick is not to make the airplane peaceful, which is beyond your power. The trick is to stop letting it reach you in the first place. Now, here's the strange part. The next sleep killer does not feel like a mistake at all. It feels like a perfectly reasonable thing to do while you wait. Trick number 6 is avoiding the gate delay coffee trap. The most dangerous coffee on a long journey is often not the one served on the plane. It is the one you buy at the gate because boarding has been delayed. You know the moment exactly. The flight is running late, the gate is crowded, everyone is refreshing the app, and you have already stretched your legs and visited the restroom. So, you buy a coffee, mostly because you are bored. That single cup can quietly destroy the first good sleep window of the entire flight. The trouble is not the caffeine itself. It is the timing. On a long crossing, your body may only offer you a few natural openings where sleep comes easily. And if you pour coffee into yourself right before one of them, you can spend the next couple of hours feeling exhausted, yet wide awake. The health guidance is consistent here, recommending that caffeine be used strategically and avoided when you are heading towards sleep. Crew treat caffeine as a tool, not as entertainment. They reach for it when they genuinely need to be sharp, not simply because the gate area is dull. As we age, this matters more, because sleep is already lighter and more easily disturbed, and a late coffee can keep the mind faintly humming long after the cabin lights go down. So, before that gate coffee, ask yourself one quiet question. Am I about to need sleep? If the answer is yes, that cup is not comfort. It may be the very reason your tired body refuses to rest. From here, the pattern shifts, because the next mistake comes from passengers trying to do the right thing, only at the wrong rhythm. Trick number 7 is avoiding panic hydration. Water is your friend on a long flight. Panic water is not. So many travelers ignore water during boarding, forget it during the film, wake with a parched throat, then desperately gulp down half a bottle right before trying to sleep. Now the body was dry first, suddenly flooded second, and waking them for the lavatory third. That is panic hydration, and it ruins more sleep than people realize. The experienced approach treats hydration as a matter of rhythm, not just quantity. A sip after security, a little after boarding, steady, modest amounts through the first part of the flight. Then ease off before your sleep window, so you are not woken every hour by your own bladder, and then drink again, properly around 60 to 90 minutes before landing as part of your arrival reset. For older travelers, this is genuinely practical, because many avoid water on purpose, not wanting to climb over a sleeping neighbor or walk the aisle too often. But ignoring fluids for hours on end leaves you landing far rougher than you need to, with the dehydration quietly feeding the jet lag. The body does not want a sudden flood, followed by a drought. It wants steady, gentle support across the whole flight. And this brings us to something many older travelers wrongly blame on their age, when in truth, the cabin created it. Trick number 8 is the movement reset. Stillness is not the same as rest, and that single idea matters enormously on a long flight. You can sit perfectly motionless for 6 hours and still land feeling worse because your body was not resting. It was trapped. The feet swell, the knees stiffen, the shoes feel tighter, the ankles grow heavy, and the lower back begins to complain. Then the passenger wakes thinking that long flights are simply harder for them now. They are hard, yes, but stillness makes them far harder than they need to be. And there is a genuine safety point woven into this one, not just comfort. The health guidance is clear that long periods sitting still during travel can raise the risk of blood clots in the legs, and it recommends moving your legs often and walking about when you safely can. So, the crew understand that movement does not have to wreck your sleep. Random restless movement interrupts rest. Planned movement protects it. A few ankle circles before you settle. Flexing your feet while seated. A gentle calf stretch. Standing for a moment when the seatbelt sign is off. A short walk down the aisle when it is clear. This is especially worth hearing carefully as we get older. Movement is not the enemy of comfort. It is part of comfort, and on a long flight, it is part of staying healthy. The goal was never to sleep like a stone for 8 hours. The goal is to rest in a way your body can actually recover from. Once the body has reset, there is one more quiet comfort mistake, and it usually only appears once the cabin has gone dark and cold. Trick number 9 is the reachable layer rule. The crew dress for the cabin, the passengers dress for the airport, and that difference reveals itself about 3 hours into the flight. The airport feels warm because you are walking, carrying bags, standing in queues, surrounded by crowds. But once you have taken off and sat still for hours, the cabin becomes a different climate altogether. The feet go cold, the shoulders tighten, the hands feel dry. The thin airline blanket covers one part of you and leaves another exposed. So here is the rule, and it is a simple one. Never put your only warm layer in the overhead bin. If your hoodie, your scarf, your warm socks, or your light jacket is up there, wedged behind a stranger's roller bag and unreachable after takeoff, then it is not part of your sleep system at all. A hoodie can become warmth or neck support. A scarf can cover the shoulders. A pair of warm socks can stop the whole body tensing against the cold. A thin jacket can become that lower back support we talked about earlier. As we age, cold muscles become stiff muscles remarkably quickly, and stiff muscles make for lighter, more broken sleep. So, your warm layer needs to be down there with you, within reach before the cabin turns cold, not stranded above your head when you finally need it. And now the final trick, the one I promised you, which sounds backwards at first, but may be the difference between landing exhausted and landing genuinely in control. Trick number 10 is the arrival reset. Sleeping right until the wheels touch down sounds clever. It usually is not. So many passengers guard every last minute of sleep. then jolt awake during the descent when everything happens at once. The lights come up, the announcements begin, the seatbacks go forward, the tray tables snap shut, and people start reaching for their bags. Now you are half awake, stiff, dry, and groping around for your glasses, your passport, your medication, your shoes, your connection details, all at the worst possible moment. That is not a smooth landing. That is a small shock to the system, right when you need to be sharp. The crew know that the very worst time to organize your body and your belongings is during the descent. So, experienced long-haul travelers tend to wake themselves around 60 to 90 minutes before arrival, especially on an overnight crossing. They drink some water, they stretch gently, they visit the lavatory before the descent if they need to. They put their sleep gear away, find their documents, secure their medication, get their shoes properly back on, check their connection, and mentally shift into airport mode while there is still calm to do it in. That last hour is not wasted sleep, it is your landing reset, and it is what separates the people who stumble off the aircraft from the people who stride off it. Because good sleep on a flight was never only about how long your eyes stayed shut, it is about how you feel when they open. You do not just land, you arrive. So, there you have it, 10 things the crew understand about sleeping on a long flight that most passengers never learn. Obey the destination clock, not the cabin. Begin your darkness early. Support your lower back before your neck. Do not lean on a drink to start your sleep. Build your bubble before you need it. Beware the bored coffee at a delayed gate. Hydrate in a steady rhythm, never in a panic. Keep moving, gently and on purpose. Keep your warm layer within reach. And give yourself that final hour to reset before you land. None of it is complicated, and none of it costs a thing. But together, they decide whether your first day at the other end feels like an adventure or an ordeal. If this helped, then stay with me on the channel, because I share exactly this kind of insight from the perspective of someone who has spent a lifetime crossing time zones in the dark. Tell me down below which one you will actually try on your next long flight: the destination clock, the sleep bubble, or the arrival reset. Look after yourself up there, rest well, and I will see you on the next one.